Welcome again, my dear students. Today is the rest of Unit 6. We're going to complete this unit together. We're going to start today with language building. Language building of this unit talks about simple sentences. Simple sentence has a verb and a subject. Simple sentence is also called a main clause. The subject here is the Mary Celeste, and the verb was found. A simple sentence should have a subject and a verb. So let's discuss which is the subject and which is the verb in each sentence. The Professor Dent arrived. So Professor Dent, subject, arrived, verb. John Brown smiled. So John Brown is the subject and smiled is the verb. The interview began. So the interview is the subject and began is the verb. The two men talked. So the two men are the subject of the sentence and talked is the verb. Lots of people, this is subject and listened is the verb. A simple sentence called a main clause can also have an object. So some sentences don't contain an object, but most of the sentences in English have an object. Like, for example, the sailors, this is the subject. Climb is the verb. Aboard, a preposition, and the ship is an object. So let's discuss the subject and the verb and the object in each of the following sentences. So the captain signaled to the Mary Celeste. Okay, who can tell me where is the subject? The subject is the captain, and the verb is the action that the captain did, which is signaled. And the object is the Mary Celeste. Thank you. Number 2, the sailors searched the ship. The sailors is the subject, yes. Searched is the verb, and the ship is the object. The crew left the ship. The crew is the subject, left is the verb, and the ship is the object. The sailors found pots of food. The sailors are the subject. Found is the verb, and pots of food is the object. Number 5, John Brown thanked the professor. John Brown is the subject, thanked is the verb, and the professor is the object. You can pause the video and try this activity alone if you find me speaking fast. Okay? Now let's answer some questions about the language building part. So let's read this information to remember what we said in a few moments ago. Remember, a simple sentence has a subject and a verb. Simple sentence can also have an object. So a simple sentence can have subject and must have a subject and a verb, and it can have also an object. Okay, so let's write the subject, verb, and the object of each sentence. 1, Professor Dent talked about the Mary Celeste. Subject is Professor Dent, and verb is talked, and the object is the Mary Celeste. Number 2, the day Gracia found the Mary Celeste. Subject is, yes, the day Gracia, and the verb is found, the object is the thing which is found, which is the Mary Celeste. Number 3, the sailors found a knife. Subject is the sailors and verb found, and the knife is an object. So now let's think together of an object to complete each of the following sentences in question number 2. 1. The sailor rowed a small boat. The professor wrote an article. The interviewer asked questions. The crew left the ship. That's right. Now let's have a discussion about the grammar part of this unit. This unit talks mainly about the passive voice. We have the passive voice in the present simple. In the present simple, the passive is am or is or are plus the past participle of the verb, which is the third form of the verb. So the passive is am or is or are plus the past participle. Again, what is the past participle? The third form of the verb. Like, for example, the verb drink. The past drank, and the past participle is drunk. So, in this grammar part, we're talking mainly about, or we're dealing mainly about with the third form of the verb, the past participle. For example, the past participle always stays the same in regular verbs. If we have a verb like visit, the past is visited, and the third form is the same, visited. So if we have a regular verb, the second is the same as the third, and it completely differs in some cases of the irregular verbs like drink, drank, drunk, sleep, slept, slept, go, went, gone. We have some examples: active sentences and passive sentences. So the question is, what is the meaning of an active sentence? An active sentence, a sentence that we know the doer of the action. We know who does the action. Here, the doer is the teacher. The teachers help the new student. Okay? So, the subject is the teachers, and the verb is help, and the object is the new students. So this is an active sentence. So what's the meaning of an active sentence again? An active sentence is a sentence which we know who does the verb, which is the subject. In the passive form, we make the sentence passive by putting the light on the object. The object is the most important thing in this sentence. So, for example, the teachers help the students, the new student. The sentence will be the new student, and you have to put am or is or are. The new student is singular, so it takes is. And help, the past participle is helped. So, the new student is helped. So, if we stopped at this part, our passive sentence is complete. And to know the difference between those two sentences, you have to ask yourself, who helped the students? If you don't find an answer for that question, you have to know for sure it's a passive sentence. The new student is helped, and we can add by the teacher. We can add. This is additional. Okay? You can add it or not according to your preference. So, another sentence, it's the same, but we change the object from being singular into plural. Let's listen. The teachers help the new students. So, the teachers, subject, help, verb, new students, object. We are going to begin with the object, the new students. And here it's slightly different because new students are plural. We have to put are instead of is. The new students are helped by the teachers. So again, what is a passive sentence? What does a passive sentence consist of? It consists of the object, verb to be, and the verb in the past participle. We can add by the subject at the end, and this is, as I told you, additional part. Now let's move to another part of this tense. Okay, we talked about the statements, the affirmative statements. Now let's deal with the negative statements and question statements. Okay, so affirmatives, as I told you, Ben walks the dog. So this is present. So the passive form is the dog is walked by Ben. Object is past participle and by the subject. They make cookies here. So cookies, object, are made here. So you can notice that we didn't write they. We can say by them or not. This is optional. Now let's deal with the negative form of this sentence. Ben doesn't walk the cat. So we have to begin with the object, which is the cat. We have to put verb to be, which is, and put not in front of it. So isn't, walk will be walked, and by Ben. They don't make sandwiches here. So sandwiches aren't made here. So what is the difference between affirmative and sentence? Affirmative, am or is or are plus the past participle, but negative, am not, isn't, aren't plus past participle. The question is a little bit tricky, but when you know how to form it, it becomes easy. Does Ben walk the rabbit? So does means that this question is present simple. You have to begin with verb to be. We begin with verb to be, and then the object, which is the rabbit, put the verb in the past participle, and you can write by Ben. As you notice, it's put between brackets. It means that it's additional. You can write it or not. So what's the difference between an active question and a passive question? An active question begins with do or does, subject, verb, and object. In the passive form, we begin with is, verb to be, object, and verb in the third form, and by the subject. How? Okay, this is a WH question. It's not different than a yes or no question, but you have to put this at the beginning, and that's it. How do they make the cookies? So how, and after that you have to put am, is, or are, which is are in this condition because the cookies, plural. How are the cookies made? This is the past participle. So again, question tool, am, is, or are, object, and the past participle in the third form. An important note we have to put in mind, if you're going to put by, which is, as I told you, something additional, you have to change some pronouns, subject pronouns, to be object pronouns. Like, for example, I is going to change to be me, he, him, she, her, it, we, us, they, them, you. For example, she draws a picture. This is an active sentence. If you want to change into a passive, you have to put the object at the beginning a picture, and you have to put verb to be, which is, and draw. The past participle of draw is drawn. If you want to put the subject at the end, you precede it by the word by, and you change she into her, like here, she into her. This is a drill. The room by Maha every day. Okay, so this is a sentence in the present simple. We know that from the word every day. You have to think. Okay, this is a subject or an object. The subject, as I told you, is the person or the thing that does something. The room cleans itself or it has to be cleaned. So this is an object because the room has to be cleaned, not to clean itself. So this is an object, and we have also by, which another evidence that it's a passive sentence. We have to think. We have every day, which says that it's a present simple. We have the room, and we have by, so we have to follow the room with verb to be, which is in the present, which is and cleaned. The room is cleaned by Maha every day. Number two, the glass is, okay, if we have break, we cannot, of course, choose it. We have to choose aorist or are plus past participle. So it's is and the past participle of break, which is broken. Break we cannot choose. Broke is the second form, and broken is the correct answer. The English homework are is be done carefully by her. So homework is uncountable word, and we have to put is after it, and is done carefully by her. Here are two tables for the conjugations of verbs, some verbs. We have the base form, we have the past simple, and we have the past participle. I'm going to read some of them, and if you want to put them in mind, you have to pause the video and to write them down on a piece of paper to memorize them in a good way. So the first verb is awake, awoke, awoken, and it equals to the verb wake. Wake, woke, woken. Verb to be, which is the most famous verb, the past is was, were, and the past participle is been. Beat, beat, beaten, become, became, become. You have to notice that in this verb, the first form is like the past participle. Begin, began, begun. I will skip reading the rest of this. You have to read it alone, and you can pause the video to write them down. Now let's answer some questions. Underline the correct word or words in brackets. Cairo Book Fair holds, is held, is holding once every year. So, Cairo Book Fair is held. Number two, windmills are old inventions, but they are still to this day. They are still used to this day. Most of the energy which is used or has used or which is used, sorry for that, which is used or has used or used in our houses comes from fossil fuel. So most of the energy which is used. The students to answer the exercise in an hour. The students are asked, ask. So the students are asked. He respects, is respecting, is respected by all his teachers. So he is respected. 70 billion cups of tea in Britain every year. Those people like to drink tea, and here in Egypt we took this habit from them. 70 billion cups of tea, so this is plural, are drunk. 1 billion liters of fruit juice was bought by the British every year. So it's our boat. 20 million liters of milk every day. So, of course, it's our drink, liters, plural. 9 million chickens and turkeys every week, the same, which is are killed, the same idea. Not everybody eats meat. Meat was eaten by 3% of Egyptian people. So meat is uncountable word. It has to be followed by a singular verb which is eaten. And number 11, 3,500 liters of water was used by the average Egyptian family. So liters, plural, are used. Number 12, in Britain, over 15 million newspapers are read, is read, was read every day. So are read. Over 60 million television sets by Egyptian families is owned, are owned, was owned. So it's are owned. Sets, plural. Now let's write the answers of those sentences. We have to rewrite the following sentences. Rewrite the sentences in passive voice. 1. He opens the door. So the answer is the door is opened. You can say by him or not. By him. Number 2. We set the table. The answer is the table is set by us. Number 3, she pays a lot of money. The object is a lot of money. It's uncountable, so it has to be followed with a by is paid by her. Number 4, I draw a picture. The object is a picture is drawn by me. Number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Read them. I will not read them. Read them and write the answer down in a sheet of paper. And after this, you have to pause the video and read and answer those questions. Rewrite the following sentences using the words in brackets. 1. They read the newspaper every day. Sorry, this is present. Goes every day. The newspaper is read by them every day. She writes a letter to me every day. So a letter is written to me by her every day. She drives the car every morning. The car is driven by her every morning. Here are some more questions, and of course You have to practice a lot. Try to answer those questions alone. After answering the questions, now let's take this part in the language book. So let's read it. Have you ever been on a sailing ship? This beautiful ship is used. So is used is passive by tourists. They can spend a week or two on board. They can sunbathe. Okay, so sunbathe is to sit in the sun on the deck and swim in the sea. The ship is sailed by the captain and his crew. There are two masts. The sails are pulled up and down the masts with ropes. Below the deck there are cabins. The passengers sleep in these. There is a galley too. Meals are cooked here by the chef. The food is delicious. Read and make sentences. So, the ship is used in the galley with ropes by tourists and by the captain and his crew. So, by tourists. The ship is sailed by the captain and his crew. This is B. The sails are pulled up and down with ropes. Meals are cooked in the galley. Now let's answer another question. Question number 2. Complete these sentences. Sailing, we have some choices: caught, made, taken, found, used. Sailing boats like these are in the Mediterranean. Okay, they are found in the Mediterranean. They are of wood. They are made of wood. Smaller boats are by fishermen, are used by fishermen. Sometimes an octopus is caught in their nets. The fish are taken back to the harbor. And now let's answer another question in the workbook. So, the first question: dolphins in warm seas, sometimes they in fishermen's nets. This boat of wood, oranges and lemons in the field, the fruits to the market in carts. Dolphins, you have to put are. And after that, we can say are found. Sometimes they are and caught in fishermen's nets. And the boat is made of wood. Oranges and lemons are grown, which is the past participle of grow. The fruit is taken to the market in carts. At the end of this video, I hope you liked this video, and till we meet again, it was presented by Mr. Amr, and bye for now. Have a good day.